Us to share his expertise on the border and answer questions about the future of the GOP is Congressman James Comer, United States Representative from Kentucky's 1st Congressional District. Thank you so much for joining us today, Representative Comer.
Thanks for having me.
Congressman, a CBS reporter, Nicole Sconga, tweeted that in a recent visit to the border, she observed a holding pod designed for just 32 children, that instead she counted 615. These conditions seem troubling, but we haven't heard the media using terms like kids in cages since the Trump administration. Obviously, there's a major bias here in the media when it comes to immigration policy. How does the GOP address this problem, which seems particularly partisan when it comes to conversations about immigration?
It is partisan. This is a double standard with the media, the hypocrisy at its best. But what the GOP needs to do is exactly what we're doing. We're all going to the border. We're all inviting the media so we can be transparent with the media, so the American people can get a good idea of what actually is going on down there. And what they're going to realize is that controlling the border is very difficult. This is one of the main things the Democrats criticized President Trump over, the kids in cages, but there were no cages, and what they are is holding pens. And these kids have to be detained somewhere. So the problem is that Joe Biden signaled to the world that you can cross the border and not face any consequences. That's why we have a surge. But we've got to secure the border, and we've got to create a humanitarian aspect of this on the Mexican side of the border. I think we should have the Red Cross and any other human rights organizations over there, because we're compassionate people in the United States, and this is a problem. But they do not need to cross that border, and the American people need to see exactly what the inside of these detention centers look like. So we're going to keep messaging on this, and we're going to keep inviting the media down so that we can be transparent with the world on what's actually going on at the border.
Even though I know the media has been giving Joe Biden kind of a soft ride here, I saw that his polling numbers on this issue are down to 32% approval on how he's handling this crisis. And I know you're a farmer and a rancher by trade, so you know just about as much as anyone else about the role that migrants play as a source of seasonal labor. What can the U.S. government do to put a system in place that enables a safe and fair system that helps American farmers, empowers hardworking migrants, and keeps Americans safe, especially while there's still some COVID-19 risk about people flowing unchecked across the border?
Exactly. And we have to have labor. We have a labor shortage in America. Despite what many of the Democrats are saying, a lot of the policies that have been put in place in Washington have incentivized people not to go back to work with the extended unemployment benefits. So this has made the employment situation even worse for the employers of America. What we should have is a common sense guest worker program where the government tracks these workers, and they're here for a specific time period and they go back. Right now, the rules and regulations pertaining to the guest worker program are so cumbersome that you have a lot of employers who want to do the right thing. They're just not doing it because of the burdensome regulations and the paperwork and all the compliance requirements. So I think this can be easily modified, and I think this is very achievable. But we have to have specific time periods for the guest workers to enter into America, where they're always accounted for, and then they leave at the specific time.
Congressman, what you just laid out there is probably the most common sense solution to a large problem. We've conducted some polling in the past that show that close to 70–80% of Americans agree with what you just said there. Now, why is it that you can't find common ground with Biden on this issue? Why are the Democrats not coming forward with just this very common sense solution here?
Well, it's simple. The Democrats want amnesty. And every immigration bill, every guest worker bill that's proposed by any Democrat in Congress has an amnesty aspect to it. It's all about getting more registered Democrat voters into the system. And it's not about trying to help our economy. It's not about trying to help the employers find workers, which is what the goal of the legislation should be about. For Democrats, it's all about politics, and every bill they have deals with amnesty, and that's a non-starter for Republicans.
Well, Congressman, we are out of time, but I appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. And also, please keep up the leadership on solving this big problem.